I called a call center the other day, and it was welcome to blah, blah, blah energy. And then after I'd gone through like 4 things in the menu, they said something like, for business, personal, and all other inquiries, press 1. And you're like, why even have that as an option? Just go right forward to whatever one takes me to and skip that entire bit. It's completely pointless. You're literally just purposely making the amount of time I have to spend dealing with your automated call system fucking longer. And also, has anybody else noticed that despite the fact that our internet has grown by leaps and bounds in the decades since it was first introduced, online catalogs still have this tendency, this propensity to always have like load up 40, and then you got to click and load more, and then click and load more. Meanwhile, they all load in like half a fucking second, and it's not like anybody's worried about bandwidth. This is a relic from like 1995 internet that is completely it's the buggy whip. It's the buggy whip fucking thing. And we still do it, and everybody still does it, despite the fact that even on your phone with your 50 gig a month plan, that extra 330 kilobytes of data from loading all up the entire screen at once isn't going to cost you anything. But it's going to save you when you got to scroll through to find exactly what you're looking for. Like, Jesus Christ, guys, this isn't fucking rocket science.
Mashup 134, folks. I wish you could have seen behind the stages in the absolute disaster I've been this morning.
Oh,
like if people could just get a glimpse of Sean before the mashup, they might be a bit shocked. It's been a rough morning, Tues, in all the best possible ways. Mashup 134, Bonnie Melky coming in. Yeah, nothing
morning,
like
fellas. Nothing like a good rant to start the day. Everybody who compliments Twos or says something nice about Twos gets their comment read. Yeah, Sean looked like a guy who
disheveled
yeah.
this morning.
Yeah, like you looked like you just stepped out of an upside down car.
It started last night when I started doing things, and I realized Twos hadn't posted any articles yet, and I started to twitch. I'm like, crap! Tomorrow's going to be a crapshoot of a morning. I'm going to have to read like nobody's business, and I know Twos is going to stick on a whole bunch of articles because it's been a busy week in the news cycle. And I'm like, well, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. I'm going to drink way too many cups of coffee, and we're going to ram through some news articles. That's exactly what this morning's been on steroids.
There was, I don't know. I mean, there's probably like 15 articles in Goofy News, and there's a bunch of them where I'm like, this could easily be its own thing, but I'm like, screw it. There's so much stuff. And then at the end by the time I was getting through all the stuff I put together over this past week, I was just like, you know what? Is anything fucking monumental? Yes. Okay. Then we're going to throw it in. And so even with our updated from the OG mashup to where we just cover everything interesting and hit it super fast, even within that, there was a bunch of stuff that got cut this week. So if your favorite thing you wanted to hear about this week didn't make it, I apologize in advance.
Yeah, there's some stuff on the cutting room floor for sure. Morning to Glenn.
Morning from just east of communist Vancouver. Well, I guess it's better than being just west of communist Vancouver. Because Sean, you'd be in the ocean.
It's true. Sometimes some people probably wish they were in the ocean.
Okay, for everybody else, real quick. So Sean asked me about this hat. He said, what is this hat that you keep wearing? People keep asking me about it, and people keep asking me about it too. So if you're the kind of person who makes this hat and sends it to people with podcasts, why don't you get an online store and get it set up already so that we can tell people about this hat, because everybody wants to frickin' buy one.
Who's on the hat, Twos, for people listening?
Ralph Klein.
Yeah.
It's Alberta, and it's Ralph Klein in his infamous flipping off the media picture, and it's all black, and it's sexy as hell. I love this hat.
You know, when you're giving the person who gave it to you crap about not having an online store, how many times have we gotten crapped on for not having an online store that works, or an online store, or getting Mashup gear?
That's fair.
You know, so I kind of understand. I kind of understand. Mashup 134.
Right. Okay. Now,
happy Airborne Friday, Jamie Sinclair, the boys. Okay. We've been talking about a new theme song. Okay. Now listen, there's multiple things going on here. One is I've had some suggestions. I've had some people reach out, and what we'd like to do, I think, twos, and I'm kind of, part of the thing with me and twos right now is we get on with each other about 2 hours to 4 hours a week is what we chat. You think that's a lot, but when you do this show, actually,
That's included in that time.
that's right. So part of what I'm going to do right now is I'm throwing things at twos, and I'm making sure he understands where we're at. We want a new theme song. If you're not for Eminem, he's one of the guys that probably wants to leave the United States after Donald Trump got elected. And well, you can imagine from the Mashup sitting point where we think of that. I'm like, okay, well, he's on the wrong side of this, and we can't have that introducing the Mashup every week. So we're trying to find people from Canada, but not necessarily, that could create the Mashup a new intro. Okay? People have been taking this all over the place. The Sean Newman podcast wants a new intro. No, we're talking about the Mashup. We want something cool for the Mashup. So what I would love to do is have multiple submissions that we could play in successive weeks and then allow you fine folks to tell us which one you like. Twos? Does that sound not lovely?
I think that sounds pretty good. I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated. We could just have a sexy guitar riff with some drums and maybe a little slap in the bass. Slap in the bass. You slap the bass.
Sure.
And that's it.
And maybe I don't know. Welcome to the Mashup. Somewhere in there. Something in there, I don't know.
Oh, we do it like some kind of a rock star thing where it's like Mashup.
Sure.
But anyway, that's it.
Yes.
So yeah, help us out with that because we're really busy right now. We got a correction to make too, by the way.
We do have a correction.
So
the Mashup got it wrong.
Unlike the people in the mainstream media, whom we all love to shit on from time to time, the Mashup likes to own up to its mistakes. And rather than just quietly burying it at the back, we're going to get right out front. Last week, we talked about Taylor Swift and how the horses had these friendship bracelets made for them and how we thought that was a waste of taxpayer money. Well, the Toronto Police Mounted Unit, our horses' friendship bracelets were handmade with one of our officers' own personal art supply and his genius creativity at his home. Our way of showing a little bit of Taylor Swift's spirit for this major city event and connecting with some young fans. So that was not a waste of taxpayer money. It was a waste of the time of somebody who works for the taxpayer, which if it's their time, they can do with it what they want.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
So there's your correction of the week. Before we get to the Coot 6.5 and bringing up those stories, I just wanted to bring back up value for value. I've had a bunch of people texting me on this about possibly doing where you have producers of the show, associate producers of the show, a bunch of people sending me content on where value for value has been working for other podcasters, that type of thing. We want to continue to talk about this idea here as we close in on the end of 2024. Into 2025, because I think it's an idea that we should really wrestle with, not only us two here, but all you fine folks who tune in each week. I think it could be a lot of fun, but I'm open to being persuaded any new way. I don't want to make any rash decisions, but value for value has been suggested by multiple of our listeners, multiple of our community, and I would love to just get more thoughts on it and do a little digging on that as well. So we got new theme music that we want to try and do starting in 2025 is kind of, let's act like we can get something done here over the next month and change this value for value idea. And of course, then the correction. If you like what we do, make sure to share, like, subscribe, all those good things. If you're watching on X, give it a retweet, folks. Come on, share.
And if you're watching somewhere other than YouTube, go on YouTube and subscribe so that we have better subscription numbers on YouTube. Even if you don't watch it there, just go to YouTube and subscribe. Okay. And then come back to wherever you watch it from.
Okay, what we started last week was the Coots 6.5. Obviously, they got sentenced, and what we were wanting to do was bring up the fact that, I don't know, there's people in Canada doing stupid things and seeing what happens to them. Okay. So Christopher Carbert, Anthony Olek, the two Coots boys who got 6.5 years. Well, here's a countrywide arrest warrant has been issued for 25-year-old Ontario man accused of driving a semi-truck through a stop sign before a crash that killed a Manitoba mother and daughter. The mom was 35 years old, man. Pretty sad freaking story. There he is. That's the guy there. And then this is
he went to the hospital after the incident. He went to the hospital, got treated for injuries, left, and now they released him, and now he decided to just not go back. And now there's a Canada-wide warrant out for him. That's
okay.
That's that story.
So that's this guy. You can, if you're looking at it, that's the guy who's a countrywide warrant for him. The second one is this man. An Edmonton man was sentenced to 14 years in prison after he sexually assaulted young girls in the capital region last August. Imesh Ratnayaki pleaded guilty to 11 charges, including sexual interference and child luring. He had lured girls between the ages of 11 and 13 on Snapchat. At one point, police were looking to speak about 100 children believed to have been lured in Edmonton and Morinville. He pleaded guilty to 11 of 37 charges and was sentenced to 14 years in prison. He'd already served 1,000 days too. So there's two people here in Canada.
So he got a deal where out of the 37 charges, if he pled guilty to 11 of them, he got 14 years. We're basically giving bulk discounts to fucking pedophiles.
Yes.
And meanwhile, Coots is locked up for 6.5 years.
Leaks in lab leaked. I can read today. A team of scientists, including one in Saskatoon, say they have strong evidence that the COVID-19 virus jumped from infected animals to humans rather than originating from a laboratory leak. The analysis of hundreds of genetic samples provides strong but circumstantial evidence that the pandemic's origin is connected to wildlife trade and the Hunan seafood wholesale market, said Angie Rasmussen, a study co-author and virologist at the University of Saskatchewan Vaccine and Infectious Disease Organization. Also, in the second part of this is a federal court judge has tossed a lawsuit filed by 330 current and former Canadian Armed Forces members, each seeking more than $1.3 million in damages for having their charter rights allegedly violated by a 2021 COVID-19 vaccine mandate directive from superiors. They'll now collectively have to pay $5,040 to Canada in court costs.
That's fucking bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. And I don't think, like, how do you have a legal standpoint for any of this? Where does any of this stuff make sense? It doesn't at all. And then this lab leak thing, if you actually go in and read it basically builds off of a bunch of samples collected by China, who was completely no vested interest in saying that their Institute of Virology released it. Like, you may as well just
the story literally said in there it was unbiased. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, like, it talks about the lab leak theory, and it doesn't talk about how they literally, as recently as last week, were besmirching Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for talking about this crazy conspiracy theory. It says the theory that the pandemic started after a lab leak began circulating in the early days of the pandemic. It doesn't talk about, like, the logic associated with it. How you have, like, the Wuhan Institute of Coronavirus lab study next to this market that it supposedly came from. And if you had to pick which one was more likely for it to come from, you'd probably pick the Coronavirus Institute, right? But it said that as data became more gradually available, top virologists argued the evidence was strongly pointing to the possibility of transmission from animals. And then it goes to Timothy Caulfield, who, if you're listening, you're a fucking idiot. Professor at U of A, expert in health and science misinformation, said that many people promoting the idea of a lab leak are trying to create a broader distrust in science institutions. If you don't believe the lab leak theory, you're the enemy, he said. It's really viewed as a truism that it has been definitively established that the lab leak is the source, and if you believe otherwise, you're just simply wrong. Well, do you think maybe it had to do with the fact that anybody's saying, well, wait a second here, And that was enough for you to get kicked off of every social media platform 4 years ago. If you say, well, hold on a second, I'm not sure if, nope, gone. Okay, but have we thought about the fact that, nope, gone. This is the most gaslighting fucking 1984 rewriting history shit you could imagine. Oh, it blows my mind.
I don't know what the opposite of co-vindication is, but that story and those stories were it.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I was like, actually, that would have been a great headline. Is what's the opposite of co-vindication?
Yes, exactly what was written there. Doge Canada. I'm just gonna bring up one of the tweets. I think right here is Table Salt says it's time for everyone's favorite game. Stupid shit my Canadian taxpayers pay for, and you can see here. There it is, 12.2 million.
For what?
So
for burden
Jordan
of
can
child care reduced for women in Jordan.
Correct.
Okay.
There you go.
Chris Sims had a good one where she's like, well, what should we call the acronym? And so, she said BEAR, Bureaucratic Efficiency Action Regiment. Somebody said Beaver, Bureau for Efficiency, Accountability, Vigilance for Economic Reform. Moose, Ministry of Operational Optimization and Strategic Efficiency. I had suggested Government Office of Payment halting everywhere reasonable. And I spelled halting wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. There's lots to be done with this. We're going to see what Musk and obviously let's talk about Musk. Muskonomics.
And
He's
also about Musk and Doge. CTV did this sad sob story about how Musk and Ramaswamy trying to find efficiencies in the government is just going to drive a whole bunch of people to quit. Like there's one person who left DC entirely and went to go live in the Midwest because it was cheaper. And now, because they didn't have to go to work anymore, they could just work from home. And now that person is faced with the daunting task of having to move back to the same fucking state that her job's in, which is just horrible. Could you imagine the humanity of it, Sean? You got to live in the same state where your job is.
Elon Musk has put out like a series of tweets basically on, well, here, I'll bring up Thomas Sowell. This right there. There you go. A series of tweets basically around similar thoughts.
He's been going down a deep dive into Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell, and I have got nothing but time for all of this. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and if you're listening, it says you'll never understand bureaucracies until you understand that for bureaucrats, procedure is everything and outcomes are nothing. I mean, that's basically the theme of what he's been tweeting out.
Yeah. So Thomas Sowell went to the Chicago School of Economics and was taught by Milton Friedman. And Thomas Sowell was a socialist, a staunch socialist. And even after going to school under Milton Friedman, he's like, no, I think the guy's still wrong. Socialism is the way to go. I like big government. And then he spent one summer working at the United States Postal Service. And that just flipped him. He was like, fuck this, fuck all of this, fuck everything you guys think and believe. That guy was actually right all along.
Yeah, pretty interesting to see where Elon Musk is going. That's going to be an interesting ride. It's going to be an interesting ride to watch the states, see what they do here in the next couple weeks. Aimco recruits, or I should next coming months. Aimco recruits volunteers. If you didn't know, Stephen Harper taking over some things. He goes, I'm taking on the role of board chair of the Alberta Investment Management Corporation, AIMCO, and doing so on a pro bono basis because I believe it is a meaningful act of public service to my adopted home province of the last 46 years. I also feel uniquely positioned to help the organization improve its governance. Over several decades, Canadian pensions have earned a global reputation thanks to a professional operations, upstanding ethics, and prudent risk management. I've accepted the role of board chair because I want to see AIMCO further embody those values and positively contribute to this culture. I look forward to working with the new board of directors and AIMCO's new management team.
Yeah, Stephen Harper, the guy actually used to run a country a few years ago.
I don't know if you heard that.
Has a master's degree in economics, probably a good dude to have running this, especially considering the fact that he doesn't even need to be paid because he gets paid by us. And it's funny. So, one of the head guys, the editor from Press Progress, which is just an absolute fucking rag, but he gets really close to the point on this. You see these leftists where they start seeing these things that don't add up, that they don't like, but they don't quite put the dots together. He says, one of the reasons Harper can be the chair of AIMCO pro bono is because he has a defined benefit pension that's indexed to inflation that pays him more than $200,000 a year and that he's been collecting since 2015. Yes, that is correct. Yes, that is fucking insane. Yes, we should stop doing things like that. Welcome to the party, Duncan Kinney.
A capital offense. Here,
This
where
is the Wall Street.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right here. Yep, there it is. Bingo. There you go. A capital offense. If Washington, D.C. is our richest area per capita, that tells you how important Doge is. This is the Wall Street Mav putting out this tweet, and you can see it here. There you go.
America's richest and poorest states versus G7 countries. So you have Washington, D.C. with a median GDP of 259,954. The average person in D.C. makes $260,000 a year. That's their fucking Ottawa. Other interesting thing to note as a corollary is that in the latest U.S. election, 92.4% of people in D.C. voted Democrat. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that if the people who decide how the money gets spent make more than twice as much as everybody else in the fucking country, and they vote 93% in favor of one fucking person, the other person is probably the one you want to have win. Also, does anybody else think it's fucked up that in the impeccable elections of the U.S., which are never to be questioned, you can literally look at this right now, and it says that from the election on November 6th, they have 99% reporting. They don't even have 100% reporting yet. By the way, in that same study, it showed that Mississippi, what was it? I think it was Mississippi and Louisiana are the two poorest states, and falling right in between them is Canada. So Canada would be the second poorest per capita state in the United States.
Calgary caving to common sense. I actually don't. You're the guy closer to this than me. Do you want me to read the Kirk Lubimoff, or do you? What would you like me to pull up on this one?
Well, I mean, there's not really. I guess the point to make here is we could pull up the Kirk Lubimoff.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll give some background on it. Basically, Jody Gondek, the mayor of Calgary, is saying that people are just asking for cuts all over the place, and they don't realize that there's no cuts to be found.
Yes, there's nothing to be found.
That that if they were going to start making any cuts, that it would start negatively impacting people. Not that they're wasting a whole shit ton of money on all kinds of dumb shit. Like the Calgary, the municipality of Calgary a few years ago won the piggy from the CTF. It's the piggies, right? Or no, it's called something else, but it's a pig. But they won that one.
Isn't it the Golden Piggies?
Shoot. Chris Sims is going to
yell at us. Yes.
Okay. Anyway, they won it for spending something like $40,000 on LED lighting for a fucking sewage treatment plant on the edge of town. You've got the giant blue ring, which was $450,000. They got literally Dr. Quinn, medicine woman, Sigourney Weaver, to design the Bond girl from Octopussy to design a statue in the southeast. There's the Nenshi Towers, which look like random crumbling bits of some fucking old building that's supposed to be about truth and reconciliation. They just spent a shit ton of money on like this whole water theme and getting the statue that looks like Spider-Man's spooge. And so anyway, she's saying, well, there's no money to be found. Look at the EVs. They're running EV Mustangs in their carpool, but they don't want to get bad press about it, so they debadge them. How about you just stop debadging them? You could save money there. But anyway, she's saying there's no money to save. And then Kirk Glubimov jumps in and he says, I'll take your challenge. I'll find your savings, efficiencies, and show you the math. Here's my offer. I'll do it for free up to the first 10 million in savings. After that, I want 50% of the savings as compensation, with 25% going to a charity of my choice. If I find 100 million in savings, you resign. If I find 250 million in savings, you pay back your salary with 50% of it going to a charity of your choice. You've literally got a pretty smart fucking guy saying, I will do this. Like, oh yeah, show us your math. I'll do it. I'll do it.
I know, it's kind of like Two's saying, I could be, you want me to come in and do Doge? I'd do it. Yeah.
See, Kirk would actually be better than me though, because I would just be like I would just fire everybody.
I know.
And I wouldn't care. Be like, fuck you, get out. Afuera, afuera, afuera. Whereas I feel like Kirk, who's a fairly smart and nuanced guy, would actually look at it and be like, okay, does some of this make sense? Can you make a decent argument here? Like, what about crazy idea if we're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars repainting an old bridge and then check to make sure it doesn't need to be torn down a month later? What if we did those in the opposite order? What if we just checked to make sure that the bridge didn't need to be torn down before we spent tens of thousands of dollars?
What you're pointing out is that Jody Gondak is ridiculous. I think every Calgarian knows that. I think pretty much every Albertan at this point knows that. And the fact she says there's nowhere to save money is, you know, like that's it kind of reminds me of when Danielle Smith was on the show and she's like, 80%. Where do you want me to find any cuts, Sean, in the government? And you're like, you can't find
anywhere.
One? You can't find one? That's odd to me. I think that's odd, but maybe I'm wrong. And I think what you're pointing out on the city level of Calgary, that's about the most ridiculous thing for a mayor to say after you've just rambled on about all the things we've talked about in the last year.
Does anybody think it was weird that with the giant division of Calgary, which is the water services, the people who go around fixing all the water and stuff, they third-partied out the entire reconstruction of that giant water main coming out of Bears Paw. There wasn't a single city employee working on that. So is it A, cost and efficiency because they had to third-party it, or is it B, that the people whose job it is were not going to be capable of doing it in a timely and efficient manner, and they had to third-party it? Pick which way you want to cut it, but the point is that they've got a bunch of people that aren't able to do the job.
Are you going to read it?
No, I don't read these headlines. You read these headlines.
The year is 2025. We huddled together in ruinous landscape of what was once Canada. The fish are dead. The birds are extinct. Hope has been extinguished, and yet the postal strike continues. This headline is so long, folks. I actually thought it was someone's comment. And so I'm waiting for Tues to read the comment. Nope. It's a story on the postal strike here in Canada. Here's two different articles, okay? One says, CBC, as Canada Post labor disputes approach in its second week, Canadian and foreign nationals are saying the mail stoppage and disrupting their lives is alarming in alarming ways. Chinese national Wang Zhu said it might cost him his job. He landed in Toronto 3 weeks ago to renew his U.S. work visa. He told CBC News he's been stuck in the city ever since, waiting for his passport to be returned to him through the Canada Post. And then it was the National Post saying, has anyone noticed this post?
Yeah. Here's the literal headline from Canada Post, or from National Post. Canada Post went on strike and no one cared. You literally have, you've got, the government employees are going to bat for the other government employees?
Correct.
That's so weird.
With a Chinese national who's gay. Yes, I mean, like you could not, I'm like, that is a That is a CBC right there.
In a nutshell.
Oh,
But
my
here's the
goodness.
other thing I want to point out is that you have this going on at the same time. This is Harley Finkelstein, not von
Yes.
Finkelstein.
Not von Finkelstein, not to be
Harley
confused here.
Finkelstein. This is the president of Shopify. If there was ever a time for the government to take action, it's now. Canada Post going on strike 2 weeks before Black Friday devastates small businesses. As the leading Canadian carrier, this has massive consequences. Small businesses will unfairly bear the brunt. If small businesses are the backbone of our economy, the Canadian government needs to show them they have one and force this to end now. He doesn't call on the union to say stop being fucking idiots. He says the Canadian government needs to end this strike. Okay. Now, as president of Shopify, the majority of his clients use Canada Post. Canada Post, whose market share has dipped from 62% to 29% in the last 2 or 3 years. And he's talking about how important it is that they get back to work, because this is affecting his bottom line, because we basically subsidize the cost of shipping as taxpayers. We give Canada Post far more fucking money than it deserves. We cover their fucking defined benefit pensions. And because of that, they're able to charge more than what they should, but less than what they need. And if they actually charged what they need, Shopify would take a huge brunt, because fewer people would be able to ship effectively, which is the gist of their entire business. It's basically like a Canadian Etsy, right? And so this is a guy going to bat, not because he believes in it, not because he thinks it's a good argument, but because this is affecting his bottom line. And it needs to be treated as such. This one's gonna be good. I think you're gonna like this one, Sean. This one's awesome.
Jaguar gets defanged. I don't even need to play the sound on this. Like, I mean, this is a Jaguar commercial
with no cars in it, a whole bunch of fucking Fifth Element transgender weirdos. It's like if David Lynch had directed The Fifth Element, and these are the people in it. And like a Dogs Die in Hot Cars music video, but with, what do you call them? Those people with the white hair.
That's
no pigment.
That's about as strange a commercial as
it's just weird as all hell. And then they got absolutely eviscerated.
Yeah.
That's one I really like, because it's from the IT Crowd, which has long been one of my favorite TV shows. So their whole thing is copy nothing. And literally the first person to walk out of this weird elevator has the Moss haircut.
Yeah.
Copy nothing except for that, obviously.
I'm glad.
So anyway, it's really interesting. Like, this is, you wonder, they're going to be unveiling a new car soon.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, well, how many Bud Light beer holders
have they not learned from Bud Light? Have they not learned from Victoria's
But that's the thing, right? So this new Jaguar, how many cup holders can you fit, like, full of Bud Lights in there?
I can safely tell you,
all this weird trans stuff. I bet you this new Jaguar is a stick shift and still has a middle seat.
I will not be buying a Jaguar.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, this is, you know what? I'm so mad about this that I am going to boycott Jaguar.
I need about $250. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced Thursday a suite of new measures meant to alleviate some of the affordability pressures people have been experiencing in the post-COVID era, including a 2-month GST holiday on some goods and services. The Liberal government will also send $250 checks to the 18.7 million people in Canada who worked in 2023 and earned $150,000 or less. Those checks, which the government is calling the Working Canadians Rebate, will arrive sometime in early spring 2024. 25. You might also call them the working Canadians bribe, but that's just using language.
How bad is this fucking country that they need to send out rebates to everybody making less than $150,000 a year? Like, just imagine you go back to 2015, and while the election is ramping up, you'd be like, look, I get the fact that some of you guys want to buy marijuana legally, but if you vote for this fuck, 9 years down the road, in less than a decade, the economy is going to be so bad that the government is going to be giving rebate checks to people making less than $150,000 a year. Like, they'd be like, you're fucking insane. Oh, yes. What? And Jaguar's going to put out a bunch of gay trans commercials? Like, they just think you were crazy. The funny thing about this is that this is literally a Conservative Party platform.
Canada's Conservatives have a plan to help Canadian families and small businesses. We will implement a month-long GST holiday this December.
That's Aaron O'Toole, and he fucking sucked. This is how bad things are going for the Liberals, that they're trying to steal election ideas from Aaron O'Toole.
And wait, Jaguar's gonna have. Let's end the show on that. Oh, what a great way to. Happy Friday, folks! Mashup 134.
No.
Tuesday's on a roll.
Even better.
This makes me randy. Multiple scandals. Man, this story. I don't know if I want it to end. I just don't know if I want it to end.
I don't either. And so I was talking about this. We just need to preface this. You might think you're watching last week's episode, especially when I point out the fact that we only talk about things that happened this week on this show.
Correct.
And this is just this week's updates on the other Randy story. Now, we said that last week, and we're saying it again this week because this is the newest news stuff.
Wait a second. Is this Groundhog Day? No, this is just the everlasting story of Randy Busno.
As it
the other Randy
to unfold.
Or maybe Cocaine Randy. We're not sure which Randy we're talking about this week. As multiple scandals swirl around embattled employment minister Cocaine Randy Busno. Wait a second. That's the other Randy, I think. The Edmonton Centre MP has decided to resign from cabinet. A statement issued Wednesday afternoon by Prime Minister's office confirmed both Busno and the PM agreed he would step aside to focus on clearing allegations made against him.
The allegations that he claimed to be of Indigenous descent, despite the fact that he said he never said that. Well, I mean, that's kind of an interesting outfit to wear for somebody who claims he never said that. And then, oh shoot, spoiler alert, that's the happy news. There's Jamie Batiste. He gets into a whole bunch of stuff. But here's Garnet Johnwee wearing a lapel thing that says Fire Randy, which is goddamn hilarious. And I just want to point out this. Oh, shoot. I don't think I have the video.
Can you please pull up the Cocaine Randy video? Are we not going to show that?
Where is it? Where the hell is that video?
You got to show it. And while you're looking for it, here's Chris Sims saying, as a backbencher MP for Edmonton Centre, he will continue to be paid $203,000. So as he steps aside, he's still going to get a boatload of money. I can't believe Twos doesn't have this pulled up because the Cocaine Randy comment was.
Randy Busno, I'm the Minister of Tourism and Associate Minister of Finance, but I'm also known as Strong Eagle Man in the Cree community. And I'm.
But he's never made allegations that he's Indigenous, and he needs to clear his name. He needs to clear his name because he's never made these claims. And he needs to clear his name, folks. That's why he resigned from the cabinet, because he needs to clear his name from these false accusations.
Like, Randy, don't disappear on us. Please keep saying absurd things so me and Twos can have some humor every week. This is
like, I want to vote for him next election just so this train can keep rolling. Let's see how far down the tracks it goes. Like, it just keeps coming and coming and coming. Here's the thing. The Liberals, who love to grandstand about how much they care about truth and reconciliation, And then they ignore it for 3 years and 10 months. And in the 60 days leading up to an election, they suddenly start caring again. Well, they need to decide whether they give a shit about truth and reconciliation or not. Because there's not a lot of truth going on right now. There's not a fuck ton of reconciliation either.
I don't know. I could probably talk about the other Randy for the full hour.
And the RCMP are opening an investigation into him and his business. The outstanding court costs have now gone up to $8 million. And also there's a second cocaine bust associated with him because he shared a mailbox with somebody who got busted for like 200 and some kilos of cocaine, although he claims to have never met this person. Have you ever shared a mailbox with somebody you never met before, Sean? Because I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. This is all just in the past week. Just in the past week, this is what's happened with Randy.
I don't know. This is so sad, but it's so funny. I assume somebody else out there watching this is laughing at this, right? Like, this is funny, right? Or has Canada just got to such a state that all you could do is laugh? Because, I mean, this is absolute absurdity. He keeps saying things, and you're like, do you hear yourself?
He doesn't know the internet's forever. And Kevin, fucking beauty comment. Because now that he's making $203,000 a year, Kevin says, I feel bad that Chief Eagle Man won't get his $250 from Trudeau. Fucking beauty. We should pin that. Okay. Yeah.
We should probably move on. I feel like we should probably move on. Man. But what about the important things that CBC does for us? CBC, one aspect of Trump's second presidency that's gotten less attention so far is what it means for the CBC and the Conservative Party of Canada's repeated promise to defund it. But make no mistake, if the CBC is eliminated, our national sovereignty won't be far behind.
Okay, but what's the downside? All right, this is Max Fawcett, who
man.
I have said on the record more than once is an absolute fucking putz. I love how at the end of it, there's such dishonesty in Canadian media, believe it or not, which is why people wanted to fund it. And so this guy who used to work for CBC, I think still maybe does some freelance shit for him, says, I understand why conservatives like Pierre Poilievre and his the guy's like 5'1", various proxies want to defund the CBC. If they can marginalize its influence or eliminate it entirely, it clears the field for media outlets like True North, Rebel Media, and other openly and flagrantly partisan organizations to shape our shared beliefs, which are increasingly being debated and discussed on social media platforms that have no regard for things like accuracy or the truth. If the CBC loses, they win. But if Canadians lose the CBC, we lose the ability to understand and talk to each other. If we lose the CBC, we lose one of the last safe spaces we have to come together and try to understand the vast and disparate land we share. I would like to show you guys a quick clip. This is from the Fifth Estate update on the conspiracy in Coots. This is going to be real quick. You guys might you guys might recognize this clip because it looks like the top half of a very, very famous clip.
Real and organized.
The federal government would tell the public what happened at Coots was serious enough to help justify invoking the Emergencies Act for the first.
Look at that clip. That's the clip where if they had included the bottom half of the screen, there's a horse walking over an old First Nations lady and her walker. They literally cut the bottom half of the clip out so that they could show the police horses there without honestly talking about what the fuck happened. And if you go to this, you can see comments are turned off. And they even went so far, I have never seen this in a YouTube video before. The amount of dislikes, if you go to any other thing, I've got that thing, that Chrome extension that allows you to see how many people have disliked the video on YouTube. And now they came out with a new version of it where you can disable even that. And this is the first video I've ever seen where, regardless of how many people like or dislike this video, it's completely disabled by the owner. You can't even see how many people like this video. This is the place, one of the few places left where we can have open discussions, where we can have communication between each other with the comments fucking turned off, the likes and dislikes disabled, and only the top half of the fucking clip. This is the fucking thing. And this video, just so everybody's aware, came out 6 days ago. This is what we need to defend in fucking CBC? Are you out of your goddamn mind? Did you watch this clip?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Do you want to, should we show it real quick?
Sure, you can show
Move
it real
on.
quick.
Okay.
No,
All
no,
right.
you can show it real quick.
Oh my gosh, we're being so hurt. Oh, we're not safe. It's a calling. It's not a job. We had a calling. I felt this, urge when I was 18 to just be drawn towards this industry, and like,
He's talking about
my pen is my
journalism in
sword.
Canada.
Like, spare me, okay? When we're dealing with these new populist leaders and new politicians that are reducing access for us, like, deal with it, figure it out, figure workarounds, how to cover them. Like, I've heard enough complaining about, Doug Ford and Pierre. He's challenging you. First of all, if you're going to walk into a press conference with Pierre Poilievre, you need to do your homework. When you have a question and he asks you what your source is and why you're asking the question you are, yes, he's coming at you in a very combative tone, but you should, have something to come back with. And you shouldn't walk out of that being like, oh my gosh, he's this demagogue that's eroding the media and he's Trump in a different type of suit. Like, guys, spare me. Like, let's have a reality check here and be serious and like meet these challenges head on and stop being so pathetic in the face of all of them. Anyway, that's my
Pathetic is exactly right.
Who was that guy, by the way? I should have this pulled up.
Harrison something.
Harrison Lohman, journalist, managing editor, The Hub Canada, formerly with The Agenda and CBC News.
Yeah.
So interesting to hear. We haven't heard anything like that. We've talked a lot about if the CBC were to have a different mandate and maybe cut out the government funding, it'd be interesting to see what they could maybe turn themselves into. That guy certainly sounds like he's got a little bit of a backbone, maybe.
Yeah. Like he's the kind of journalist, it seems like from here, that Chris Sims talks about the newsrooms being filled with back in the day. This is I don't know, the old guard. This is like a remnant of a bygone era.
Oh, just before we get to the this is in the comments. Pat King's verdict today. So far, 5 guilty plus 2 for mischief. Brenda Belanger, what is it? What did he get fine? If you could expand on that in a comment. What was
Breaking
his
news?
Yeah, what was he guilty of? What did they plus 2 for mischief? Yeah, if you could expand on that comment, I would love to know just a smidge more. But there is something people would be probably interested to hear. The NDP are not a serious party. Didn't have to tell me that. I don't know. Twos, you want to show a video of saying things?
Okay. Well, we could skip the sing song if you want and go to this. Trickle down economics is a scam. Pass it on. He's right, but not in the way he thinks he is. So I just want to touch on this real quick. This is a quote from Thomas Sowell, and you can find some videos that are like 15 minutes long of him breaking this stuff down impeccably. But trickle-down economics basically started from misquoting something that George Bush said in 1984, 1985. And everything you ever hear about trickle-down economics has come from that one misquote. So Thomas Sowell, a proponent of supply-side economics, says that trickle-down economics have never been advocated by any economist, writing in his 2012 book, Trickle-Down Theory and Tax Cuts for the Rich, that the trickle-down theory cannot be found in even the most voluminous scholarly studies of economic theories. He actually has a bounty where, I can't remember what it is, but I don't know, 1,000 or 10,000 or whatever. The number doesn't matter. The point is that he has money set aside for anybody who can show him any economist, any serious economist who says anything about trickle-down economics. And so whenever socialists talk about how trickle-down economics has failed or how it's bad, why don't you ask to point out where it actually exists, where it's real, where anybody with any actual pedigree in any of this shit talks about it? Because it's just fucking unicorn farts. It's fucking green energy. Speaking of which,
Green Swamp Fund update. Calgary Conservative MP Stephanie Kuzy is accusing federal Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault of corruption related to the so-called Green Slush Fund on Friday. She said Guilbeault invested $254 million into a company he owns. Nah, the Liberal government would never do that, Twos.
no,
The new Randy.
That's that's the other Guilbeault.
This government is failing to comply with Parliament.
This guy who's literally a convicted felon? No way.
Last week, the Auditor General, Karen Hogan, struck down a House of Commons committee request for another audit of the Green Slush Fund, saying it likely wouldn't reveal anything new. I doubt that. I highly doubt that. $254 million into a company he owns.
Yeah, and so Karina Gold's been trying to get out in front of this. She's done some she actually went in front of CBC, and CBC, to their credit, she's like, oh, well, we've submitted tens of thousands of documents and the Conservatives are just being mean. And he's like, yeah, but they're all heavily redacted. You need to show them the unredacted documents. And, well, they're just holding things up. And they're like, yeah, because they want the unredacted documents. And it goes back and forth with her being like, well, they're just playing politics. And the guy's like, they want the unredacted documents, and the people want the unredacted documents, and you guys aren't providing the unredacted documents. So regardless of how many pages you hand over, if everything's more blacked out than Justin Trudeau's face, it doesn't fucking matter, right? And that's what's going on with that. And that, by the way, is why Parliament has been held up indefinitely, is because of the Green Slush Fund
debacle.
Yeah,
saga.
Yep.
Goofy news. All right, this is becoming one of my favorite parts of the show lately. Here we go. Okay, an admitted human smuggler was court-ordered to surrender his passport only for Passport Canada to issue him a new one. Yeah, you heard that right, okay?
And then when Kevin Vuong, who's a independent member of Parliament in Toronto, tweeted about this, somebody from Passport Canada's Twitter account went and untagged themselves from the post.
Charlotte Hornets star LaMelo Ball fined $100,000 for offensive and derogatory phrase. He said, "Yeah, we loaded up, no homo." That got him in hot water.
He got fined $100,000 for saying no homo.
The Collingwood, Ontario Christmas tree. I want to show. We don't need the sound for this, but you can hear him counting it down. Watch the Christmas tree light up.
That is the shittiest Christmas. Pause it. That is the shittiest Christmas tree I have ever seen. It's literally just a bad net of lights, and that's it. Yeah. No star, no angel,
no nothing.
You know, I mean, there's none of the stuff that Sean would even like to see, like giant balls. It's just that's it.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, there you go. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau suggests that if you oppose his carbon tax, you're a victim of right-wing disinformation. Logan Paul trolls BBC, sending a lookalike to be interviewed about crypto scam allegations. Sonny Holston was forced to read out loud a legal statement after slandering Matt Gaetz.
Like 3 minutes later.
Silverside AI just created an ad for Coca-Cola. It was you
think about like all those AI things where people have extra thumbs poking out and weird stuff with their hands and ears and whatnot. That's the new Coca-Cola ad. There's at one point there's a truck driving by with no cab on it. There's these two squirrels that keep switching ears, stuff like that.
There's the truck with no cab.
Yeah,
just got a front wheel. This Coca-Cola. Ah, boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. We have a man who was reported missing died in a tanning bed at Planet Fitness in Indianapolis. Had been dead in there for 3 days, and the gym still operated daily.
How crispy you think he was by the end of that, eh?
Oh.
I think you skip past the fact check on RFK Jr.
Oh, where are you at?
Hey, that's okay. I got it right here.
Spitting out my Mr. Here's a fact check. Mr. Kennedy is singled out Fruit Loops, and as an example of a product with too many artificial ingredients, questioning why the Canadian version has fewer than the U.S. version. But he was wrong. The ingredient list is roughly the same, although Canada's has natural colorings made from blueberries and carrots, while the U.S. product contains red dye 40, yellow 5, and blue, as well as butylated hydroxytoluene, or BHT, a lab-made chemical that is used for freshness, according to the ingredient label.
So he's wrong, and he's totally wrong. And here's the exact details of why he's actually kind of right. These fact checkers are wonderful. I love how obsolete they've become with community notes, although they are hilarious.
Yeah. This is I got to pull it up because you got to understand that was in New York Times, right? New York Times wrote that. It's just
they
can't.
fact checked him and fact checked themselves in the process.
Correct.
And you think, like, where's the editor who read that was like, well, actually, he was right. Maybe we just don't write. Maybe we just don't publish this.
Okay.
Maybe. But it's crazy. Or even the person writing it, as they were writing it, didn't they stop to think to themselves, actually, I'm not making the argument I think I am. I wonder if maybe I should just shut up now.
It's roughly the same. Oh man. If you build backyard rinks in Markham, they will come demolish it. Man who built a beautiful backyard rink. Basically people are upset. They're gonna come tear it down. They want them to tear it down because they want the green space back too.
It's his fucking yard.
I know. And then plane grounded for 4 days when 132 hamsters escaped on board. It's not snakes on a plane. Get the snakes on the plane. We'll get the hamsters figured out.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, you want to solve all these hamsters on the plane? You get Samuel L. Jackson. That problem takes care of itself real
quick. Had it with these hamsters.
I've had it with these motherfucking hamsters on this motherfucking plane.
There's your goofy news from around the world. EVs and the CPP. Ford is to cut 800 jobs in Britain and 4,000 roles across Europe over the next 3 years as part of a plan to cut production of electric car sales as a stall and competition from China steps up. Ford's European sales were down 17.9% up to September, far outstripping an industry-wide decline of 6.1%. It joins Nissan, Volkswagen, Stellantis, and General Motors in announcing major cost-cutting plans. This on top of whirl back in time to September 2023 when the federal and Quebec governments announced that they would be partnering with a Swedish battery maker, Northvolt, to plunge headlong into a bright green future. Canada and Quebec will be laying out a $2.7 billion capital investment. On Saturday, as financing talks continued, the Financial Times broke that Northvolt is considering filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the United States, and that one major investor has already written the value of the company down to zero. And
Canada Pension Plan is invested in that company.
Well, and the final thing I was going to say here, several Canadian pension funds have sizable financial exposure in the event of a bankruptcy filing by Northvolt. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So this whole hands off of our pension. We don't want Danielle Smith to be in charge of our pensions because then she'll put them towards her pet projects that she cares about. And we can't have her doing that. So instead, we need to leave our pension in the trusting hands of the federal government.
There's a new cartel in town. DC, sit down wherever you're listening to this. You're going to get a break for a week,
make way for the PC.
Make way for the potato cartel. The heat has been turned up on two Canadian frozen potato giants who have been named in separate price-fixing lawsuits south of the border. McCain Foods and Cavendish Farms are among those accused of being a part of a potato cartel, conspiring with other large processors by sharing pricing data in an effort to raise the price of frozen potatoes in the U.S. The consumer case brought by plaintiff Alexander Govier, who is identified as a buyer of retail frozen potato products, alleges the major processing companies have a direct line of communication to each other and regularly share pricing data and other sensitive information. Quoted, the potato cartel moves prices skyward in lockstep, harming all purchasers of potatoes in the process, the court filing states.
Yeah. Oh, wow. They keep this up, we're going to have a great potato famine all over again. This is awesome. Like, this is why you need open business. See, when people, this whole trickle-down economics theory, as people say, well, if you give tax breaks to businesses, then the big businesses are just going to keep the profits. But the whole argument is if you give tax breaks to businesses, it removes the hurdles that stop new entrants from emerging, which makes things more competitive. It's not, oh, well, if we give Walmart a tax break, they're going to pass down the savings to the people working at the checkout till. It's if we get rid of the taxes in this industry, then new people are going to be able to open up new stores, hire more people, and have more options for consumers, which is going to drive down the prices in the industry. And so, yeah, I know that people with cartels of, whatever it is, potatoes or anything else, dairy, for example, don't like hearing it, but cartels are actually really bad for the consumer. Oh, and also McCain, that Bill Morneau, the former Liberal Minister of Finance, he married one of the McCains, so everything's as incestuous as you would expect in liberal Laurentian bullshit Canada.
Freedom in Parliament. After 2 years of Pierre Poilievre as their leader, many Conservative MPs say they are much less free now than they were before his arrival. The man who promised during his leadership to run to make Canada the freest country in the world maintains tight control over the actions of his caucus members. Since Pierre became leader, you can feel the difference, said a source in the Conservative leader's entourage. MPs don't get too comfortable. They're careful.
Okay. They're right, but they're totally fucking wrong. They've got this detail correct, but they're completely grasping the implications of it and how it fits into the sphere of things. So, yeah, absolutely. The Conservatives aren't allowed to say and do what they want. There's a party whip, Blake Richards, whose job during the last election was to make sure that every single of the 338 people who ran for the Conservative Party in Canada supported a carbon tax. That's still on the internet. Aaron O'Toole's carbon tax, you can still find articles on it. All right? It's still there. It didn't go away. Pierre Poilievre, he was pretty quiet during the last election because obviously he didn't support it, but he didn't go against it because he wasn't allowed to speak his fucking mind. Because O'Toole specifically said that anybody who doesn't support the carbon tax is getting the fuck out of the party. And so every single Western Canadian member of Parliament right now ran on a fucking carbon tax. And so, yeah, they aren't allowed to say what they think. They aren't allowed to say what they believe. You've had how many issues with the NDP and the Green Party blowing up over who's allowed to say what about Israel over the past couple of years? And also, how many times have you seen an article talking about Justin Trudeau's wavering popularity and the people who want to see him out of the party, but they won't speak openly for fear of recrimination? It always says that in the article. It's either experts say some random fucking thing, or this person spoke to us on a condition of anonymity because they fear reprisals for their career. You hear that all the time in the liberal circles. Do you honestly think that every single fucking liberal member of Parliament is going to stand unequivocally behind Strong Eagle Randy? Fuck no. It's that they're not allowed to say anything. Do you think they think fucksticks Trudeau with his fucking going down to Brazil and saying that the carbon tax is more important than groceries and rent? Do you think there isn't a single one of them who's like, hey, wait a sec. Like, I get the fact that we're idiots, but are we that fucking dumb? No. They go along with what they have to say. And so, yes, Is this article saying that the conservatives aren't allowed to speak their mind true? Abso-fucking-lutely. But you need to take into account that it's true for every single fucking party in this country.
Strong Eagle Randy. That's what I took out of that entire rant. I liked how you put that in there. The flip side of job growth. Alberta continues to set the pace for job creation in Canada, solidifying its position as the country's economic engine. The province led the way in job growth between September and October here in this year, 2024, accounting for over 91% of the country's net job growth, according to the latest labor force data. Canada's most populous province, Ontario, lost 10,900 jobs in comparison. While Ontario's employment fell, its population also rose by 39,000 people over the same period. The entire country saw its working age population rise by 85,000 people. Therefore, while the country saw an increase of 14,000 jobs, it saw 70,700 more people, working age individuals, enter the job market. That's population grew at 587%.
Yeah, so we're bringing in all these people to support our economy, but there's nowhere for them to work. Is basically what that last little bit says, but the start of it. 90% of all new jobs are in Alberta. Okay? So you have that article coming out, while at the same time, you have CTV complaining about the fact that the minimum wage has not moved since 2018 in Alberta. Like, put two and two together here. The country with the most stagnant minimum wage laws. We were talking about this a few weeks ago, and it just keeps rearing its ugly head. Like, oh, the minimum wage doesn't move in Alberta, but all the jobs are being created in Alberta? Pick one. Do you want a high minimum wage that nobody gets because nobody has a fucking job? Or do you want a low minimum wage where people can get in, build up skills, and move up the pay ladder from there? None of these guys are just this close to putting things together. These articles are 4 days apart, Sean. And nobody can just, A to B. It's almost there. They're just so close to realizing how fucking stupid they are, but they can't quite make the jump.
Scurvy sea dogs of Lac La Ronge. Well, within the last 6 months, doctors in La Ronge have treated 27 cases of scurvy, bringing to light the severe impact of food insecurity in the province's north. Despite scurvy's rarity in modern medicine, the La Ronge diagnosis is aligned with findings from a recent First Nations Food, Nutrition, and Environment survey, which revealed 42% of respondents couldn't afford balanced meals. A 22 Saskatchewan Health Authority report noted the average weekly cost of nutritious foods for a family of four was $291, rising to $358 in the north and $464 in the far north.
Yeah, so I assume that they mean La Ronge is the far north because it's basically where the roads stop. Like, the only thing above that is Uranium City, and you got to fly in, right? And so it's crazy, though. Like, we've got an outbreak of scurvy in Canada. Food has become so fucking expensive that people are getting fucking scurvy.
I don't know. That should probably go on a shirt.
Well, basically, I mean, it's either that or my buddy Patrick caught scurvy and he's been passing it around La Ronge as an STD, but it's basically one of the two things.
Scary weather name of the week. Area of low pressure is rapidly deepening of the Pacific coast, this time spinning around the first bomb cyclone, twos. Bomb cyclone.
Yes. So a bomb cyclone. New thing, right? Like, where do they keep coming up with this, right? It's crazy. Just whatever crazy new name they can come up with to call these new weather patterns, right? Wrong. The term was introduced in a paper called Synoptic Dynamic Climatology of the Bomb, published in Monthly Weather Review in October 1980. So it's a bait and switch. They had this sitting right in front of them the whole time. They could have been calling things, instead of an atmospheric river and a climate razor's edge and all the crazy wrestling names, they had climate bomb the whole time. This thing is older than you or me. Climate bomb. It's actually got actually there's a formula for deciding when things are and are not a climate bomb. You need 24 sine of phi divided by sine 60 megabar reduction in pressure throughout 24 hours, where phi is the latitude of the storm, and that adjustment accounts for the change in in latitude, because the changes in latitude affect the storm differently. This is all laid out. They could have been doing this the whole fucking time.
They can't do math, Tiz.
No. And you know what? I'm pretty sure none of them even realize that this has been around since 1980. They're just like, oh, sexy new name. Let's go for it. Fuck. Am I the only person who reads?
UK, more like UK. Well, I don't know. I'm just going to pull up this headline. There you go. The Observer: farmers have hoarded land for too long. Inheritance tax will bring new life to rural Britain. That was Will Hutton.
Yes. And then this has gotten so bad that you've got Jeremy, what's his face? Jeremy Clarkson is showing up, doing speeches at these rallies, talking to BBC, calling them out on their shit. And this is the best one I saw, though. We're not going to play the whole clip, although these clips of Jeremy Clarkson are fucking awesome.
Yes,
but here it is. What is your message to this government? Please back down. And get the money from where? See, that's the whole argument that BBC is trying to put forth is that where are they going to fund healthcare if they can't take all of this money from the farmers? And in it, he's saying, well, this is going to affect like 96% of the farmers. And she says, well, where did you get this number from? And he said, who here is not going to be affected by this? And nobody puts up their hands. He's like, there you go. And so anyway, and get the money from where, she says. He says, see that building over there? If you don't understand what somebody's job is, fire them. This is Doge England now. Doge is spreading everywhere. Afuera.
Happy news. Well, two's already spoiled it. Here's Miss America. There you go.
Damn.
There you go. All right. Miss America, we have a woman.
Yep. And this I want to point out was, see, this is the thing. There's no crazy surprises. If you look at the swimsuit photo, there's no weird bulge.
Yeah,
she doesn't have a middle tooth like the one we talked about last year. It's just crazy. Nature is healing. Ever since Trump got reelected, now we go back to Miss America pageants having actual fucking women in them. And this is a tweet from Elon Musk. Breaking. Internet stunned after an attractive biological female human of healthy weight wins Miss Universe pageant. Nature is
sad,
healing, folks.
It's sad to, I mean, just.
It's funny because it's true.
Yes. All right. Mashup 134 in the books.
We got any community notes, by the way? Anybody real quick?
Anybody got some community notes for us? I know December 8th, Wainwright, Vermilion, Lloydminster, UCP AGM, and Wainwright, 4 p.m. You got to be a card-holding UCP member in order to go there, but there's that going on. May 10th in Calgary, Alberta, there's this thing called the Cornerstone Forum coming. And
that sounds fun.
Yeah, well, should I play the video too? Maybe I should just play the video.
I think you probably should play the video.
I tell you what, we'll play the video.
Flipping the script today. I'm going all the way. It's about time. It's a good day coming. It's a good day coming. Good day, sweet like honey. It's a good day coming. It's a good day coming. It's a good day coming. It's a good day, sweet like honey. It's a good day coming.
There you go. Cornerstone
Yeah.
Forum returns May 10th. May 10th.
And one more to add on to it. Erskine Curling Club, September 5th to 9th. They've got the men's what is it? It's the Alberta Boston Pizza Cup. So just outside of Statler, big deal.
Big deal.
It is. And especially for a small town like Erskine. It's going to be great.
All right. Well, Mashup 134 in the books. Folks, thanks for hopping along. And if you like us, you like what we're doing, please share, like, subscribe, leave us a review, retweet this sucker, all the things.
Do it up.
Twos, folks, till next week. We'll see you.
Thanks, guys.